Okay, it's actually Thursday afternoon, almost 2 o'clock here in the Northeast. Um, but I seem intent on doing a video about the structural discussions we've had this week. So here goes. But first, I'll just say, it's November 17th here in the Northeast, and I can't believe what a nice day we're having. I'm outside. I don't really need this down vest on that I have. I can feel the warm sun on my face, and it's just really pretty amazing. So let's hear it for global warming and climate change. Not really, because I know it has lots of bad effects. Okay, so structure. A couple of things to highlight here, right? Where are my notes? No, wrong book. Okay, so basically, the notion here is that form follows function, right? And so, if you're the leader of your organization, you're thinking about the big things that you want your organization to achieve, right? What's your mission? And in order to maximize your mission, you're thinking about, well, we need to do this big thing, and we need to achieve this big thing, and we need to do this big thing. And then, so you say, okay, well, in order to do those big things, what has to be done? What are the component tasks that need to get done on a regular basis, or maybe not regular basis, but what are the tasks that need to get done in order to achieve that big thing? And so basically you granulate all the tasks in your organization, and you end up then with all these gazillion tasks that need to be done. So you say, well, who's going to do them? Well, then you group those tasks together into job descriptions. You group different people then under a hierarchy of management that hopefully monitors, gets reports on what all these people are doing in their tasks, and provides support when needed. And so you end up then with this sort of vertical notion or structure, right, of the organization, where the big pinnacle at the top is the big boss. Then you have senior management, middle management, line staff management, supervisors, and then you have all these people doing all these tasks, up and down the line, right? So hopefully you've set up the structure so that people doing all these tasks can do them as efficiently as and effectively as possible. But notice what you've done. You've differentiated people's tasks, right? And so the big challenge of the structural frame is then to figure out, well, how do you integrate the workings of all these different people if you have a vertical system, and yet people down here need to talk to these people over here, right? So this notion of differentiation versus integration is one of the very big challenges of the structural frame. And in our discussions, many of you talked about how you like structure, you like some order, you like predictability, but then you also like to have leeway, you creativity, you like basically to freelance. Well, the trick then is to figure out how to structure jobs so that, yes, you can get the efficiency of organizational structure, roles, responsibilities, and a vertical structure with the need in order to have some flexibility in those job descriptions and in the managerial structure that you create. So let's see here. Yeah, I just have a note here. The challenge is to allow for integration across vertical chains of command when needed without compromising the control and order imposed by the vertical structure. Okay? Now the other piece here is that the rigidity of the structure is dependent upon a couple of things. One is the ability to actually routinize or to make tasks routine, right? To the extent that there's a job that's pretty prescriptive um, and can be described, right, and that each task just kind of gets done and it's routinized and it can be routinized, then structure and a fairly confining box of a job description, works really good because you know that there's this task that needs to be done, needs to be done every day, and it needs to be done the same way, and so you just boom, 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 assign those job responsibilities, and you make sure that the person gets them done, right? But sometimes, right, jobs are not so routine. Uh, Counseling, per se, is one obvious one. Um, it's not routinized. Every person's an individual. How much counseling they actually need and the type of counseling they need, it's all different. So the structure there has to be a little looser, right? Because you're not just making widgets, you're actually helping people deal with life. And those are two very different tasks, so the structure has to be really different. The other thing about structure is that even the most prescriptive job tasks that have to be done every day, etc., the structure that you create for that is only as good and as effective as that task actually needs to get done every day. You know, it, nonprofits work in this bigger environment, right? And as that bigger environment changes, then the way that you can actually achieve your goals is going to change. Therefore, all those tasks we talked about that you granulated and then put into little job descriptions for efficiency, well, those little tasks are going to have to change if, in fact, the environment you're working in change and demands a different task in order for you to get to your goal and to maximize your mission. Okay. Uh, okay, so that's kind of what I wanted to say there. And then just the last thing is that we've talked in the discussion forums about the need, both as a manager and for you personally as, quote, an employee, to find jobs and tasks that you enjoy and that you're good at. In basketball or in sports, we always talk about putting your team in a position to succeed. The point here is that you need to have your employees in the right spot. You need to have your players on a team doing something that they are good at. To put them in the wrong position or to ask them to do functions on a team that they can't do, that's a setup for failure, both for the individual and for the organization. And so you really need to pay attention, both as a manager in terms of which person you put into which job, making sure that their interest and their skills match the requirements of that job. And for you as, an employee or someone in the labor force looking for a job, you need to be sure that the job that you try to get really is one that you'll enjoy because it matches your interest, your skill, and your skills. And that actually leads us into the next week and the notion of the human resources frame. Because, right, we can create this structure. I don't know why I keep doing this, but right, you create the structure, the granulated tasks filter down through that structure, and you can be very strict in your management style about making sure that everybody does their task every day exactly the same way and exactly on point, right? But the problem with that, it's logical, let's say, and it's rational, but people are not robots, right? We are human beings with feelings, with our own aspirations, with our own goals. And so you may jam people into these boxes with these tasks, but it will never work if the sort of heart, the pumping of the employee's heart doesn't resonate with the task and the responsibilities that they're supposed to be performing. And so that is a good lead into the next week 5 of the course. So I think I'll leave it there, and this is probably your intro video as well to next week. I'll see if there's something else I need to add tomorrow. But for now, I'll let it lie there, and thank you so much. Okay.